And we're back with a quick Rimworld tutorial on how to deal with sieges. Early game, they're pretty difficult to deal with, early to mid game, but once it gets to late game, it's actually a lot simpler. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to use snipers. This is the first demonstration of the tools you can use. There's several ways you can deal with these things. It's just early on, snipers is probably going to be your only option unless you've been really lucky or you've got the money to do it. So all we're going to do is bring our snipers down and get them in range to start taking shots. However, there's a problem. If you'll notice here, several of these already have sniper rifles themselves, so we've got two snipers we've got to deal with. One of them has a triple rocket launcher, and one of them has a Doomsday. So we want to get close enough to fire at them, but not so close that we get shot at by those nasty, nasty weapons. So we'll just bring the fellas in here, we'll bring them up to about there and see if we can't get a pot shot off. We don't want to kill them all. All we want to do is trigger them so that they stop sieging and come and attack us and get, funneled into our kill box. Because once you do enough damage, they stop being a siege and they start just being a normal raid that you can channel into your kill box. Alright, let's get them over here, see how close you can get. And what's your range on that? Oh, perfect. You can probably go... Nope. Just there. Yes. And then we just start taking pot shots. Hopefully. Come on. Yeah, they're not doing anything. The thing is, you want to get it done as quickly as possible before they get their mortars built and they can actually siege us correctly. And you really hope that their snipers don't come in range. If they've got multiple snipers, this can be a problem. Come on. Alright, by shooting the mortars themselves, which just so happened to be this close by, made it much simpler. We managed to destroy the mortars, and then they've now started attacking. Sieging pirates and the landmines are going to close in, so that means we run back to our kill box and just treat them like a normal raid. What did they actually mortar? You know what? I think they mortared this stuff up here. Doesn't matter. That's the first method of dealing with them, and probably the most dangerous. The reason being, you've got to get close enough, and if they've got snipers and Doomsdays, well, as you can see, it can become problematic, especially depending on how close they get. Also, you may not have this handy cover nearby, you may be out in the open, so you would prefer not to have to rely on sniper rifles for dealing with this type of raid. Doing a little time rewind, we're going to show you the next and probably best overpowered method of dealing with them. This is probably one of the cheaper and more unusual ones because you won't think about it. It took me ages to actually realise this, how powerful this was. Let's see, we've closed the doors and we are going to activate a psychic animal pulsar. Now these things can be bought in a lot of places. They're pretty cheap. I think they're only about 500 or 600. We'll actually look it up in a minute. And what that does is it drives every single animal on the map insane. Now, this may not be perfect because some of the animals will come up and start sniffing around our doorways, but other ones will start going up here and annoying the enemies, which is wonderful for us because they'll attack each other. Oh! Yeah, sieging pirates from the night landmines are assaulting the colony. And there you go. We didn't have to do anything, we didn't have to leave our base, all we did was activated the pulsar. However, it is a single-use pulsar, so there's not really much you can do about that. Any of them that survive will have to deal with... Oh, here comes the camels. Never mind. Okay, so the pirates are fleeing. However, you will have to deal with the animals that are left over, but if you just wait it out for 24 hours, just one full day, they should fall asleep, and then when they wake up, they'll be fine again. And on the bright side, you'll also get a bunch of free meat out of the whole thing. Wonderful way of dealing with them, incredibly cheap. In fact, that works for so many scenarios where you just lock the doors, stay inside, activate the animal pulsar. Keep an eye out for one of those. All of these items here, they all give you options, and options are what's most important when it comes to raids. Alright, animal pulsars, one of my favourite. Before we move on from animal pulsars, I should probably point out a few things. One, they're only useful if you're on a tile that's going to have a lot of animals on it. So, if you're on an ice sheet, let's say, this is not going to be nearly as useful, but if you're on something that's got rhinoceroses or something like that, or maybe a jungle tile, temperate forest, all those ones, you'll usually have lots of animals to draw on, and you can just, summon the power of 10 tigers to destroy your enemies. However, toxic fallouts will neuter it. Cold snaps, heat waves, all of those will drive all the animals off the map, which means if that happens, it sort of strips away your line of defense. I would definitely consider these, though, a first line of defense for a lot of situations. But how easy are they to get your hands on? That is the question. So we've got someone out here, and we're just going to do a couple of dev trades. So trade instantly with them, and we'll have a look. You can see they have a psychic animal pulsar. 888. For 888 silver, you have a get-out-of-jail-free card for an awful lot of situations. Not only that, let's see down here, I think we can trade with these guys. Yeah, they've got one as well. So you can buy them from either a regular settlement or you can buy them from tribals, and they're incredibly common. So far, this one here doesn't have them, I think. I checked here. Yeah, they don't have one. but the Empire as well can also stock them. So, yep, Empire got it as well. There's another trade settlement up here. They also have access to them. Also, this settlement up here has access to them. Also, just they're everywhere. They're literally everywhere. They're very, very common. They're far more common than Doomsdays or any of the other options we're going to cover next. The wonderful Doomsday. Also, smoke launchers. Smoke launchers and Doomsdays. They're a good combo when you're trying to do this. What we're going to come down here and do is we're going to fire Doomsday into the center of this. Now the problem is you need to get a little bit closer than when you were using your sniper rifles here, because the range on this is not quite as good. So we're going to need to get a fair bit closer. However, that puts us in an awful lot more risk as well. And we've also got the risk of return fire. So what we want to do is bring up one pawn to here, and we're just going to start smoking the area. The reason we want to smoke it is it gives cover to our person. With the Doomsday, we don't care if we miss by a bit. You miss by a bit with the Doomsday, you still hit something. It's the joy of Doomsdays. So what we want to do is aim... Ooh, we want to try and maybe get a bit closer. Oh, I think no. Now that should be just about right. And then we fire right into the middle of them. There we go. Sieging pirates from the light landmines are attacking. Now you'll notice here a few snipers got return fire, but they didn't hit Chief. Reason being, they're in a smoke cloud. Now it's not perfect. They can potentially still get hit. It's just a case that the smoke cloud will reduce the chances of you getting shot at by an enormous amount. Another few options, but this is a little bit more late game, would be you do have the Invisibility sidecast. Using Invisibility and casting it on your opponent will make them impossible to shoot, and you're pretty safe there as well. Another option is also you can get smoke clouds that you can get as a sidecast, though honestly that's a waste. And having a second pawn in reserve is always good with the skip ability, because what you can do is there's a massive downtime after firing a Doomsday. You'll see there that circle slowly going down. That takes them forever to recover from firing one of those things. So instead what you can do is just skip them out of there really quickly, and that means they don't have any lag to experience, though maybe don't have your smoke caster do that. And then run. Just leg it. It goes out saying the people you should be sending out here should have some sort of speed bonus. Preferably jogger, jogger. If they don't have jogger, give them bionic legs or an architect leg. Anything you can get to increase their speed. Anyone with a speed bonus would be great. In a pinch, you can give them some go juice. And then you just run back, go back to your kill box and dispose of whatever's left over. Okay. But there is one other option here you can use instead of Doomsdays, and it's one of my preferred methods. Now we're going to start getting into permits. The call aid permits, which you can gain access to. Now, this could take a while. You need to get a level 4 to level 4 with the Empire, and you'll gain access to Aerodrone Strike. Aerodrone Strike is basically a Doomsday. That's, in fact, it's slightly superior to a Doomsday in a bunch of respects, but as you can see here, longer range. We're at the exact same range as the other Doomsday was, but we've actually got more range, meaning we can get a more centralized strike right about there. However, the cooldown on it is actually a little bit longer, so... Okay, you can start teleporting them out of there immediately. And done. And would you look at that? Siege pirates from the landmines are assaulting the colony. They've given up on that siege they were planning on. And we're already out of there. So that's using a combination of invisibility and skip to make sure we get out of there rather quickly. Another thing we've got equipped on them is jump jetpacks. Jump jetpacks allow you to leave quickly, especially if the enemy is going to be able to outrun you. So jump jetpacks are also a mobility option, and I would definitely strongly recommend getting jump jetpacks if you get an option to get them. Once you've got your basics in terms of, say, some heavy SMGs, some flak vests, and some dusters, you should start investing in these optional extras. And by optional extras, I mean animal pulsers, smoke launchers, Doomsdays, a couple of sniper rifles, jump jetpacks. All of these things give you more and more options. Another option is the Psychic Insanity Lance. However, this is a little bit weaker, but we'll cover some of the edge case uses of it. The Insanity Lance is a bit of an edge case. It's harder to shoot around a corner. You sort of have to stand more in the open, which will leave you more open to return fire, in which case we're using invisibility, but you can probably get by with a smoke launcher. And then you have to decide who you want to Insanity, and it gets tricky. For example, they have 2 snipers. We could try and target the snipers, take those out, and then we can, shoot them with impunity. Another option you can have is maybe target the person with the Doomsday or the triple rocket, stuff like that, so you could hopefully remove them from the future problems. However, it won't stop the siege. Another option is, say, this pawn here has a low shield pack. So if we were to, say, Insanity them, let's have a quick zap. What'll happen is they should... Oh, now they're on fire, great. People should start shooting them, and the moment they do, it activates the shield belt. This means they should hopefully fire a whole bunch of their munitions and waste them. Though them ending up on fire was probably not a good thing. In fact, while we're here, let's Insanity the minigunner as well, maybe. Actually, wait a minute. Who's got the best armor? You sort of want to pick someone who's got good armor plating so that they survive longer. Prefer if someone's on go juice, definitely zap them. The thing is, when you use an insanity lance on someone, it has a bit of a problem. It can sometimes set them on fire, which unfortunately has happened both times there, which was highly unlikely. Oh, great. That means they're both going to die. Seriously? Ah, that was a wasted Doomsday and a wasted triple rocket launcher. That's just made our lives so much simpler. Anyway, that's sort of how you can use it and how it can be useful, but you're much better off with pretty much all the other options we covered. I would say that the best option you have is the choose permit. Namely because when you call down an Aerodrone strike, it has a cooldown period. For example, we'll just fire it here into the ground. We don't really care too much. What you'll see here is on the call aid, you'll see it has a cooldown period of 45 days. It's basically a recyclable Doomsday that's even better than a normal Doomsday. You can call one down on this raid, and so long as something hits you in the next 45 days, it will recharge. Well, you're probably going to be hit more than once every 45 days, but multiples of them are very handy. They should be your first choice, should be to use Call Aid because it's infinitely rechargeable. It'll just keep recharging all the time, so use it if you need it. As well as that, it has a longer range than the Doomsday, and also as well as that, it's a drop down, so it comes straight down out of the sky, as opposed to the Doomsday, which has a travel path. Doomsdays can impact other things and stop. So if you say try and fire it here, and it passes through an enemy, there's a chance it will hit the enemy and detonate early. Or if you pass it through your own people, it can potentially hit the backs of your own people and almost kill you, which has, yes, definitely happened to me. So, Aerodrone strikes, probably one of your best choices. Your late game option is to fight fire with fire, and that's to basically get your own mortar setup. Now, I would not advise this particular one. Normally when you're making these, you would do something along the lines of, you'd build a mortar and then you would sort of seal it in. What I would do is something like that, and then basically make mortar alcoves. The reason being, if a mortar shell lands, say, in the middle of this is going to be one massive explosion and everything will be destroyed. You sort of want to separate your mortars out so that if one gets destroyed, it doesn't take out everything around it. Explosions are funny in that an explosion can destroy a wall, but it won't destroy anything on the other side of it, a single explosion. So even if we made these walls out of wood or tin foil, it wouldn't make a difference. That single explosion could only at most destroy the walls it's touching, and that's it. I would also store the mortars in a separate area, also usually something along the lines like this. Exact same thing, we'd stick in a shelf and have the mortars on it, just in case the mortar shells blow up. But to fight fire with fire, you simply line up, and normally you're just going to aim right in the middle. These things are they're so inaccurate, it's just horrible. We're going to splatter the whole area with mortar shells. This should only take a moment. Come on. And, oh, here they come. Let's slow this down a bit. And let's see. Yeah, we hit a few of them. Sieging pirates from the landmines are assaulting. Maybe don't try this with one mortar. One single mortar may not be able to keep up with this. You'll usually need about 4 to be pretty much guaranteed that you're going to get them. Having a few extra can't hurt. Also, there's incendiary shells and stuff like that you can use to set them on fire. I normally don't bother. I'd prefer to capture whatever they've left over. For example, they've left 12 high explosive shells behind. We've only expended 6 so far, so we can actually make our explosive shells back up again, and they've even dropped us off some free meals. Never mind. This, though, once you've got to this point, all these other options sort of become moot because this is recyclable. You can make your own mortar shells and, yeah, done. Problem solved. Now we're going to get to the sort of ultra late game, super ridiculous ways of dealing with this that are just sort of just hilarious at this point. What we're going to do here is we're going to invisibilize Chief. And now this is where things get a little bit funky. Come on, Chief. We're going to have you jump jet over there. Quickly, quickly, quickly. Perfect. Now, you'll notice this Chief is right... Ooh, hold fire. Chief here is right in range of them, but since we've invisibilized them, invisibility is pretty much essential for this, unless you get really lucky. We're going to nick their components. We're going to skip the components away. Teleport, basically. Now that the components are gone, they've got a problem. They can't build the mortars. Their mortars require 6 components apiece. So they've got enough steel, but they don't have any components anymore, and no more components will be forthcoming. Now let's get out of here. Jump jetpack, I think, for the win. You could also use another skip, but jump jetpacks are pretty handy and very recyclable. Everyone out of there. We can leave those components right there. They won't come after them. Once the components are gone from where they were, they're just going to spaz out. And by spaz out, I mean they're going to stay there. They have no intentions of leaving anytime soon. They're waiting to build their mortars, which will never happen. Let's skip this forward a bit. Let's see how long it takes them to figure out that they're not getting out of here. Wow, that took a really, really long time. Oh my god. Okay, but this can be used to your advantage, knowing that they're going to be here for a couple of days. If you have any quests, say Mad Manhunters show up, a few different quest types that can show up and attack you, you can lock your doors and let them fight it out. For example, in this instance, if we bring everyone back inside and say activate this mech cluster, they will decide that they don't want to attack us and instead want to attack the mech cluster. One moment while we bring everyone in. Of course, we have to give the enemy something to attack, and these ones are all dormant, so no one's going to go near them. Simplest thing to do, though, is we're going to bring up furniture, we're going to select sleeping spot, and it used to be that you could place mines. You could build mines around these things, and those mines, you just build them, then you'd activate them, they'd wake up, they'd activate the mines and blow themselves up. So what the devs did, because they were really smart, was they made it so if you build anything near these, they wake up. That's to stop you building mines around them. However, it also counts sleeping spots as building near them. So building a few sleeping spots here wakes them up. Nice. So now that they're woken up, we'll just bring in the last of the animals. Doors should close. And now they have nowhere to go. Well, they can't gain access to us without smashing down some doors, and since they don't want to smash down some doors, instead they should target the next thing on the map, which is the enemies over in the right corner. Alright, so maybe they stopped to destroy my butcher's table and my cooker, and I don't know what those two are doing, whatever. But the rest of them are now going to come over here and get their asses handed to them by this, but it should hopefully soften these up a little bit, and it makes the next part of our job a little bit simpler. Yeah, this is not going to go well for the pirates. Also, their morale is probably not doing too well considering they've been sleeping out in the cold. And that's one way to use them. My god, what are you doing there? You know what, it's fine. But that is how you can deal with pirates, and occasionally late game use them to your advantage. I will admit that having all of those psi abilities necessary, as in the invisibility and the skip, it's pretty late game. And the necessary psi focus amount. It's going to be a while. You're probably going to have an array of 5 or 6 mortars and plenty of mortar shells to take care of most of them long before you get there. But it is a nice little trick for dealing with quests later on. Now, a couple of side notes. One, animal pulsers will only work up to a point. Once the raids get big enough, the animals won't be able to do enough damage before they get mowed down. Doomsdays and Orbital bombardment, they pretty much work all the way up till endgame because they'll cluster up so tightly that you can get massive splash damage on them. Jump jetpacks are pretty much an all-round good investment no matter what you do. Always have jump jetpacks around. They can get your pawns out of trouble or get them towards trouble faster if you need it. There are some more esoteric ways of dealing with them, like masses of chickens, masses of rats. There's all sorts of weird, challenging, fun ways you can do it, but these would probably be the simplest, easy, and most direct ways of dealing with things. My advice when it comes to dealing with any raid, always keep a few of these options around. These options give you tactical choices that you can make. If you run out of Doomsdays, maybe you've got animal pulsers. If you run out of animal pulsers, maybe you've got Doomsdays. Some are stronger in other scenarios than others, but I would definitely recommend animal pulsers. If you've never used them before, they're probably one of those great little investments you can make that can save your bacon so many times. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. Good luck.